Great to welcome now to our Book Talk segment. A woman who's written a really interesting book about women that have accomplished quite a bit, called Wonder Women, 25 Innovators, Inventors, and Trailblazers Who Changed History. We're joined today by the author Sam Maggs on the telephone. And Sam, good to talk with you. How are you today?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, good to have a chance to chat with you, an opportunity to read through the book. And I have to admit, I guess I'm like most people. I did not know a lot of the women in here that accomplished so many things. I'm glad you wrote the book, because they did a lot of things that we probably should know about.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it was really important to me to highlight women that we don't usually hear about, because I feel like we hear the story of Marie Curie or Ada Lovelace really frequently, but there were so many more women than that from all over the world who accomplished some great things in science and medicine and even espionage and adventure. So I really wanted to bring light to their stories, too.
I guess that movie that just came out last fall about the three women scientists that helped NASA, that kind of, I guess you had written it before that, but I mean, it kind of spurred on some interest too, didn't it? Those women scientists, not too many people knew about them.
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to go see Hidden Figures. It was excellent. I have an astronaut in my book as well, Mary Sherman Morgan,
right,
who was the only woman engineer working at North American Aviation in the 50s, and she actually invented the fuel that launched the first U.S. satellite into space, and she didn't even have a college degree, so pretty cool.
Yeah, that's... Now, how did you go about doing the research? Since obviously not a lot written on it beforehand, how did you go about it?
That's definitely true. I spent a lot of time with a lot of primary sources, really getting into old medical texts and history textbooks. But one resource that I really liked for the American women and that you can actually use yourself is a website called Chronicling America, which is a digital archive of old newspapers throughout America dating back to the 1800s. So if you want to know what was going on in your community on, say, a Wednesday in 1860, you can look it up online, and the newspaper is there for you. You can read about the whole day, and there are lots of hidden stories there and also some pretty funny advertisements.
Oh, good. I remember in college using the old microfilm and microfiche to look up old newspaper articles. So they have that online now. That's good to know.
It's much better.
Yeah, those are fun. It's fun to go back and look 60, 70 years ago, whatever it is, at a newspaper article or newspaper itself, and just the ads and the pictures and stories that were maybe, short little blurb stories. You can find some good gems, can't you?
It's super fascinating. Yeah, I definitely encourage everybody to take a peek at it. It's pretty fun.
Well, you break it down, too, in the book, Wonder Women, not just science. I mean, obviously a lot of women contributed there, but espionage, which I thought was kind of interesting. I guess Mata Hari is the name we all kind of hear about, was a woman spy, if I'm right about that, but there was a lot more.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I wanted to show that, just because a woman's good at math or science doesn't necessarily mean she has to become a doctor. She can do all sorts of things with her intelligence, like, for example, become a master of espionage. So there were some awesome women. I'm a really big fan of Noor Inayat Khan, who was an Indian Muslim woman in the 1940s who actually worked as a wireless operator for Britain and was the first female wireless operator in France, and she actually saved a lot of lives by getting information from France back to the UK. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, I would think women in espionage field would have an advantage in a sense, because most people don't expect a woman to be a spy, right? I would think that would be a good thing.
That's it, exactly. There's another great story, speaking of unexpected things, of a woman named Mary Bowser, who was a black woman during the Civil War, who was a spy in the Confederate White House, because everyone assumed that slaves couldn't read, but she had actually been highly educated. So they would leave her in rooms with tons of sensitive documents, and she would just read them all, and then report back on their contents, and nobody knew that she was doing that. So some really interesting stuff.
Another one, and again, probably sexist on most men's part, myself included. We don't normally think of women as being inventors, but quite a few have invented things we use all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite ones is, have you ever thought about who invented the brown paper bag that you get your
that was interesting.
Food in?
Yeah, I didn't even know that story.
Yeah.
Tell that one real quick if you could.
I certainly hadn't. Yeah, the answer to that question is actually Margaret Knight, a self-taught mechanical engineer in the early 1900s who patented the first machine to fold and glue flat-bottom paper bags. By the time she died in 1914, Margaret was hailed as the woman Edison and the most famous woman inventor of the 19th century, with nearly 100 inventions under her belt. But the interesting thing about her story is that she actually actually had to sue after her design was stolen by a man who had seen it and tried to claim it as his own. And his main defense was that a woman couldn't possibly have created something so ingenious.
and that's,
obviously, she won the lawsuit because she had all the notes, but yeah, pretty brutal.
That's another kind of subtext to the book that, unfortunately, a lot of these women that did these great things, they didn't get the credit for it, or men stole it from them. So that's a sad part of it, I guess.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate through line through the book. A lot of these stories, history is written by the victors, so a lot of these stories, particularly of queer women or women of color, have kind of been lost to time. There are also tons of instances of, women discovering something or inventing something and the credit being taken by or attributed to her male colleagues. We also see a lot of women not want to take credit for their work, particularly in the case of black women inventors who didn't want to put their name on their invention, lest white people not want to buy it because it was invented by a black person. So there's lots of different reasons why these stories have been unknown for so long.
Another kind of interesting, too, you talk about the black pilot, right? I think her name was Bessie Coleman, which I'd never heard of her before either. Interesting.
Definitely one of my favorite stories. She was actually born to black and Native American parents in the American South in the 1890s. But she was determined to prove to the world that women of color could become successful. So when she was denied entrance to American flight schools because of her race and gender, Bessie taught herself French, moved to France, and earned her pilot's license 2 years before Amelia Earhart. And when she returned to the United States, Bessie got super famous, performing stunt flying shows for massive crowds, but she would only perform for crowds that weren't segregated. So she was actually a really forward-thinking civil rights activist in her time, as well as a really successful aviator.
Yeah. We always tend to think just of Amelia Earhart, but there were others as well. But I'd never heard of her. So again, a great story in the book. Again, it's called Wonder Women: 25 Innovators, Inventors, and Trailblazers Who Changed History. And Sam Maggs is the author. And Sam, I know we have limited time today, but give out a website if you could, people get more information about you or the book.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can find Wonder Women in brick and mortar and online bookstores everywhere. You can find out more about the book at quirkbooks.com, and you can find me online at Sam Maggs, SAMMAGGS.
Yeah, your Twitter, I see on the notes, Twitter at Sam Maggs, so you can check her out as well.
Same thing.
Sam, pleasure talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or DougMilesMedia.com.